What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? I am back. I feel like it's been a million years since I've done a review, which it has been a minute, I guess. It has been a minute. I did a couple of lives this weekend, but I haven't done a review in a minute. And I've been ripping and running all weekend. So this is Real Housewives of Potomac season. What season we on? This season 4? Y'all, I'm sorry. See, yeah, season 4, episode 12. And so we talked in this episode. It really is all about the allegations. The charges have been dropped, and what we know is that being able to prove a criminal case and something taking place are two different things. And I think that's where a lot of the women are coming from as far as this episode is concerned. A lot of the women are coming from that point of view to say, well, yeah, the charges were dropped, but we still think something went down. Um, a couple of things come up in this episode. One of the words that comes up is friendship. Here's the thing. These women ain't friends. And I wish they would stop acting and expecting people to act as if they are friends. These women are not friends. Now, Robin and Giselle, they are friends. Now, I'm gonna say at the beginning, some of these women started off as friends. Like Karen and Giselle had a friendship. When Sharice was still on the show, she had genuine friendships with these women. Robin and um Giselle are friends. I think that Monique and Candace at one time were building a friendship. It doesn't seem like it's that anymore. But as a general group, like a big cluster group of women, they ain't all friends with each other. So stop acting like people are going to bear that burden. The other thing is, Ashley, you threw the first rock. And I'm not saying that wrongs make a right. I'm not saying that people are justified in how they treat you or what have you. But what I will say is, when you spent the first, because you weren't on the first season, right? Ashley wasn't on the first season, right? She came in the second season. Or was she on the first season? Neither here nor there. Since the beginning of the show, I think she was on second. She came in season 2. Maybe with shit. I don't remember. But since you've been on this show, your whole thing has been mess. Your whole claim to fame has been mess. Starting with you were outing Robin in her financial situation. It started with mess. The other thing that's been consistent since the beginning of this show is Michael making inappropriate comments and or inappropriate gestures. So you cannot get mad at these women for believing or feeling like there's a level of truth to these accusations. Now, with that being said, let's go and get to the story. So, like I said, we start off with the charges being dropped, and Ashley and Michael went on Fox 5, which is a local TV station here, to discuss the allegations. Now that the charges have been dropped, they are free to speak. That's one thing that is just a fact. We don't have to like it. We ain't got to accept it, but it is a fact. When you have a criminal case pending, any lawyer that went to the first day of law school is going to say, don't say anything until the case has been concluded, whether that's criminal, civil, business, whatever. If you have a pending legal action, there's really nothing for you to say. And so Michael not speaking on it is valid. So Giselle, for her to act like, oh, that's part of the reason why she believed that it was true is because Michael wouldn't speak on it, that's really not valid. Michael ain't speak on it because Michael couldn't speak on it. I mean, let's just be real. But he can speak on it now. So they went on to the show. And Ashley just keeps talking about how much of a good man he is and how she supports her husband. And she just can't understand why these these women just assume the worst about her husband and why they want it to be true. Like just playing victim. And again, Ashley, if this were happening, if the same situation occurred with anybody else's husband with the facts in place, you'd be just as messy as the rest of them. So stop playing victim now, because again, like I said, you'd have been the perpetrator. Anyway, moving on. Karen, Raven, and Macy Gray. Let's go. I'm just gonna knock this whole thing out because it just ain't that deep. Karen, Raven is home from college, I guess for a visit or what have you. And we find out that Raven sang at the funeral for Karen's parents, whether it was one, the other, or both. She sang Amazing Grace. Karen was really, touched by it and moved by it. And we see this great moment where they found some old video footage and, they both kind of got upset and everything. And Karen says, I spoke with Macy Gray. Come to find out she's cool with Macy Gray through Matt. She met her through Matt, and that she asked Macy Gray if Raven could come and lay down the track because for whatever reason they weren't able to tape it at the funeral. I don't know if they just didn't think about it or where they had it. Maybe they couldn't have devices and couldn't tape things. Like, I don't know. But she wants, because it reminds her, and I guess it's a good memory, it reminds her. And so she wants to lay that track down. And they're going to go to the studio to do it. Now, the one thing that and Karen, you've been cool with me this season, for real, for real. But the one thing that threw me off a little bit, what Karen said was, Raven and Brandon have been very supportive of me since I lost my parents. They lost their grandparents. And it's funny because today is my grandmother's birthday. She has passed, but today is her birthday. And I was in the store today buying, because it's also my cousin slash one of my best friend's birthdays. And we all, it's a family thing that her and grandma had the same birthday and all that good stuff. And I was in the store today buying her birthday card. And of course, I'm looking for a birthday card, and I come across happy birthday grandmother or whatever. And I just stood there and I was just like, wow, I'll never be able to buy that card again. Like, I'll never need this section again. And I had a quick little moment. And so maybe I'm a little sensitive to the whole grandparent thing today, but I just felt I feel like that was a little selfish for her to put it that way. Her wording to me was a little selfish. Now, she did go on later on in the episode and continue. And then she spoke about, well, when grandpa, whatever she didn't call them grandmother and grandfather. She called them like grandma, grandpop, or something like that. They had different names. Um, but that just kind of hit me a little sideways. Now, we did see them go to the studio. Now, let me tell you something. I think Raven was trying to do too much. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that Raven can't sing. That's not what I'm going to say. And the one thing I have found from this editing with these shows, whenever somebody goes into the studio, they play you the worst track, the worst everything. And the other thing is Raven has she is she has a awareness. That's what I want to use. She has an awareness of her voice because she kept stopping herself whenever she was in the wrong key or whenever it was coming out wrong. She would stop herself and be like, "Nope, that ain't it." So I think she does have a voice. Do I think she might, maybe could benefit from some training or whatever? Of course she could. Who couldn't? You know what I mean? Like, even some of the best singers get better. The best actors and actresses continue to hone their craft. But of course they give, it's a reality show, so they're gonna give you the worst, the cracking and all that. But when it was over with, Macy Gray, mixed it up, shook it up like a martini, and rolled it out. And it sounded nice. And I'm sure it was a nice memory for Karen to be able to keep, put on her MP3 and play it. And it seems that it's a happy memory, even though it's of the sad occasion. But it's a happy memory for Karen. And so that was a good little moment. But again, y'all know they was trying to give it to us. They were trying to play us the worst moments of her recording that track. But in the end, it came out nice. They can make anything sound nice after they mix it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They can make me sound like Liberace if they wanted to. And baby, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. Okay. All right. So Monique and Ashley are at the studio. Uh Monique's podcast, Not for Lazy Moms. She's gearing up for season 2. I've never listened to it only because I'm not a mom and it's not. I love podcasts. I listen to all kinds of podcasts, but they have to be things that are of interest to me. I don't care about motherhood. No disrespect. But I'm sure it's a nice podcast. I'm sure it's a fun podcast. Monique, has that type of personality, what have you. Anyway, um, her and Ashley get to talking. Now, her and Ashley, I'm gonna say this. Now, I am going to agree with Candace on a few things. I don't agree with her on much, but on this one, I'm gonna kind of agree with her a little bit on. I'm gonna say this. Now, I'm all for mending fences. I'm all for making clearing the air. I don't know about making up is the word I'm looking for, but I'm all for clearing the air. But Monique and Ashley seem to be becoming really good friends. And I'm not saying you can't be friends with somebody that has dogged you. I swear I'm not saying that. I believe you can. I believe you can be friends with somebody that has dogged you out, Um but they get to talking. Neither here nor there, y'all. They get to talking. And Ashley is saying how she doesn't really know who she can trust because at first she thought Giselle was supportive, but then Giselle flip flop on her, and but Monique has just been consistent. She said, but Candace made it seem like you had some things to say too, and Monique was like, oh no boo. Mm-mm. She said, I I heard the news like everybody else. But she said, but I have not been relishing in your demise. I have not been making negative or disparaging comments in reference to this whole situation. And she then let Ashley read the comments, the text messages between her and Candace. And her thing was, I acknowledged it, I addressed it, but I ain't get into all of the oh girl, yes, that's so like she was like, I just not relishing in it. She said, because first of all, at the end of the day, I don't even know what happened. And none of us know what happened. So I'm not getting into all of that. And I think a lot of it has to do with Monique having gone through what she went through last year and knowing what it feels like on the other foot to be accused of something that once it's out there, regardless of how exonerated you might be, maybe there's nothing you can do about it. And maybe that's what it is with Monique. I don't know. But maybe it's because Monique just got too many other things to be worried about. Monique pregnant, got 2 other babies, and she doing the podcast, and she got this. Maybe she just ain't got the time for it. I honestly don't know. But it seemed that she was exonerated through the text. I don't know. Um, but Candace, I still don't understand why Candace has such a I don't know why she has such a vested interest in Ashley's demise. Like I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so that was that. Robin has a ladies' night over to her house. She invites we see Katie and Giselle are there, and then she has some of her other friends that are not on the that are outside of the show. They're there, they, planning makeup and wearing heels, and something. I don't have an opinion anymore. I've said what I had to say, and I'm done with it. As far as the Robin Juan situation, but is it me, or does it seem like Robin is always so uncomfortable around Juan? You know what I'm saying? Like he walks in a room and she just gets giddy and like a little like I don't. It just seems that's I think like for somebody y'all been together for 5,000 years, married, divorced, kids, affairs, bankruptcy, all the stuff that y'all been through. It just seemed like when he would walk in the room, it just seemed like she's like, "Hey, what's up, babe?" But it's like it's like she's on eggshells when he's around. Do y'all get that impression, or is it just me? Let me know in the comments. And I think for me, that's probably what the most unsettling thing is about it. Like I said, I'm over the whole are they together, not together, married, not married, like whatever. If you like it, I love it. But that's what it is for me. It just seems like there's not a comfort level. Like it's just not a comfort level there. I don't know. And maybe it's just maybe he just makes her heart pitter patter after all these years. I don't know. But one of the things that came up at this ladies' night, of course, y'all know they were talking about Michael and the exoneration and Giselle. Everybody just insisting that something happened, and well, we know that just because he was the charges were dismissed doesn't mean he was innocent, and that whole conversation. But the one thing that was very interesting to me that did come up was Katie said Michael made a comment to the boyfriend that she felt the boyfriend sort of flirted, that Michael sort of flirted with her boyfriend. And they exchanged phone numbers. And Michael said to the boyfriend, now make sure when I call you, you answer on your private line or something to that effect. Basically, we need to talk outside of Katie, like on your private line. And that the boyfriend did feel like Michael had flirted with him. Let me say this, y'all. You know the saying where there's smoke, there's fire. And with you ever heard the other term, the preponderance of evidence? Let's just pretend like for a minute we're on a jury together. Like y'all, everybody looking at this video right now, and myself, we are all on a jury together. And the evidence that is presented to us is he grabbed the man's butt on the dance floor that he didn't know that well. He allegedly had nude pictures of him leaked from what was it, from like a gay dating site or something like that? Allegedly. All of this is allegedly. He allegedly made a comment about wanting to perform oral sex on another man, pervert one of his wife's husbands. Um, Something else happened allegedly, and then we get to this last situation. Oh, he allegedly hit the cameraman's butt, and now Katie's saying my boyfriend felt like he flirted with him. Now, like I said, all of this is allegedly, but if you are on the jury and all of this evidence is presented to you, do you vote guilty or not guilty? I'm just saying, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna drop it there. Boom, I'm walking away. Um, they talk about their plan that Robert's planning a 40th birthday party for Juan. It's a surprise party, and y'all know they filmed this shit so far in advance. This was last fall. Hell, it's been almost a year, but I knew it was a year ago because last year, as soon as the season ended last year, Candace's wedding happened, and I was like, that's gonna be on next season of Real Housewives of Potomac is Candace's wedding, and that's damn near, you know what I mean? Like, so that was last summer, so they're filming in the fall. Juan is a fall baby, and so she's planning like this whole. It was supposed to be a surprise, but Juan is working. He had to go do some work, go for a recruit or whatever, and she ended up having to tell him so that he wouldn't miss his own damn party. So they're doing that, and it looked like it was a cool experience. It's not something I want to do. See, I'm not about. I don't pay to be afraid. I don't pay for nobody to scare me. That ain't my idea of a good damn time. I don't go to horror movies, and it's funny because when I was a kid, I did. Now, just let you know how old I am. I saw all the Jasons. I saw all the Freddys. I saw all the Halloweens. And we used to go, and we wanted to go to the night show. We wanted to go at night because we wanted to be afraid. And I remember all of that, okay? One of my best friends growing up, we're still friends to this day. Her aunt used to take us to all the movies. Shout out Shalita. I don't think Shalita watches my review. Does Shalita watch my reviews? I had to find out. Anyway, shout out Shalita. Her aunt used to take us to all the shows and would scare the hell out of us. In the meantime, in between time, and up and down. My sister is a Halloween baby. My sister's birthday is October 23rd. We always had Halloween themed stuff for her birthday growing up. And I've done haunted houses. But at this point in my life, where I am now, I ain't paying for you to scare me. That just ain't my idea of a good time. But it looked like it was fun. I would have been in the lounge waiting for them to get back. I would let them go and walk through that forest. But neither here nor there. The day of the party, of course, Robin is running late. Robin's gonna be late to her own damn funeral. I swear she is. I don't know how the hell she got to Katie's party early and Candace's party early. For Katie's party, she was so damn early. Katie must have told her the wrong time. Okay. Katie was like, I know how Robin do. So if I told the ladies to be there at 4, I'm gonna tell Robin to be there at 1. And she probably still got there at damn 2:30, 3 o'clock. But anyway. Um, so we see Ashley and Michael riding to the party. Michael agreed to come. And again, y'all, this shit's just, out of context, it's probably not a big deal. But when you put it with all the rest of the stuff, it just seemed real damn. Michael talking about something, well, he wasn't going to come, but he wanted to come because it was Juan and because he loved Juan so much and because, he's so close to Juan that he's only doing this because it was Juan's party. And again, the rumor is already that comment that was made about Juan. And so, when you put all that together, you like, so the only reason why you coming out to play is because it's Juan's birthday. Okay. Um, and Ashley is again. They're having that awkward conversation that's clearly just for the camera. So, I mean, how do you feel? And Michael's like, feel about what? I mean, that you're able to, that the charges have been dropped and everything's been cleared up. Like, how you feel about tonight? And he was like, I mean, I'm glad that we were able to clear it up. He said, my only problem is that, this affected some business deals. There were people who, even though they believed I was innocent, they weren't really ready to do any deals with me until this whole situation has been cleared up. So I'm glad it's cleared up. So now I can go finish making my money. I ain't mad at you, Michael. I feel you. But it was a real awkward conversation, which basically was just them being happy that it's cleared up and they can talk about it. Now, a part of me thinks that Robin was told to be late on purpose so that they could produce this whole scene because, of course, Ashley and Michael show up. Giselle is there looking for Robin, and Robin is just, and Giselle is like, oh my God, Ashley's here with Michael. And Robin was like, she's what? Michael's there? Oh my gosh. And then Candace and Chris pull up, and of course, it's this whole awkward, hi, hi, hey, oh, hi, you're here. You know what I mean? And I think, Karen or whatever. So it's this whole awkward thing that I'm like, now Robin, were you really late or they told you to be late so they could get all of this? But anyway, well, we know Robin always late, so hell, they probably didn't have to tell her to do shit. Um, so Giselle was like, high five. Michael was like, high five what? I mean, so no, Giselle said, so the charges were dropped, but it was with a question mark. And they were looking at her like, okay. Well, I mean, well, high five. High five to the charges being dropped. And Michael was just like, okay, well, I mean, of course they were going to be dropped because nothing happened. Because now the story is that Michael bumped into the cameraman because it was so crowded. Now I'm gonna get to the leak footage in a minute. This is a little long, but I'm gonna get to the leak footage in a minute because I'm gonna tell you I got questions. I still got some questions, but I'll get there. And so, of course, it's that whole awkward thing and with Giselle or whatever. And, everybody ends up walking up. But, of course, the whole talk is, Michael's here. Oh, my God, Michael's here. And they're all shocked to see Michael. And, of course, nobody wants to say anything. It's the whole elephant in the room, so to speak, about Michael being there and everybody wanting to really ask Michael about it. But ain't nobody. Because, again, first of all, they're going to keep saying what the hell they said. Well, of course, the charges are dropped. I wasn't guilty. 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 So they end up going through the whole haunted house. Yay. I mean, the haunted forest, actually. Everybody got screamed. Candace threatening motherfuckers. Like, don't you touch me. That's their job. You went to a fucking haunted house. Like, that is what they do. Anyway. Um. So then afterwards, they had looked like they had I don't know, like a restaurant lounge or whatever, where the party, continued after they went through the haunted house. See, that's where I would have been waiting for them. I'd have been there having a cocktail, waiting for them to finish going through the haunted forest. So the men on one side of the room talking, the ladies on the other side of the room talking. Men don't get into the shit that women get into, right? So the men are talking about going surfing and camping, and Michael once again telling Juan, yeah, I'm trying to get you on the surfboard, and he made a comment about the water getting in places that it shouldn't get in or something like that. And Juan was, Juan was like, yo, man, I just want to, I'm glad to see you here. I appreciate you coming. And Juan didn't even know about a lot of this going on because Robert hadn't told him until she said Michael called Juan and said, tell your wife stop talking about me, keep my name out of her mouth. So then, of course, Juan was like, what's going on? And then Robin told her, which is all the more lends to me that the comment that was made was about Juan. Because if I'm a wife, I might not necessarily tell my husband that another man that we're cool with, that we socialize with, made a comment like that about him. I'll be honest with you. I probably wouldn't say it. But then the ladies, of course, on the other side of the room, and it's all awkward. And of course, they're just talking about the whole situation again. And Ashley rose up on them, and Ashley know they was talking about her. Ashley know good and damn well they was talking about her. So Ashley rose up and, like, well, how you doing, Ashley? You having a good time? She was like, well, actually, it's a little awkward. And I felt she meant it's a little awkward because I know y'all asses was over here talking about me and my husband, but okay. But they get to talking, and the one thing, let me tell y'all the one thing that I was loving Giselle for in this episode, because Monique, not Monique. Monique ain't had nothing to do with this. Monique wasn't even there, y'all. Monique ain't come. Monique wasn't there. Monique had a scene with Chris earlier in the episode where she basically was saying, look, I ain't got nothing to do with none of that. Like, that's they shit. I ain't relishing in nobody's demise, and I'm just trying to get ready for my baby. I'm just trying to. But she sort of slipped. Remember they said they ain't want to know the sex? Did they? Because she said something about not wanting to have any more little girls. Somehow she was gonna get her outfit, the little girl stuff away now because she wasn't planning on having no more little girls. But how they know they was having a boy? I thought they didn't want to know the sex. Did somebody slip up and tell them? Anyway, it's not even that deep. So Ashley said something to Giselle was like, well, you made it seem like you believe that you had already had she said, well, Monique's the only one that's had my back. Nobody called me, nobody texted me. And actually that's a lie. Because they showed on camera that everybody called and texted you. Now, maybe they did it for the purposes of the camera, but they showed that on camera. Well, I ain't gonna say everybody, but they did show on camera that Robin reached out to you, Giselle reached out to you, maybe nobody else other than Monique, because Candace probably didn't, and Karen probably didn't. But don't say nobody else reached out to you because they did and they showed it on camera. She said, well, yeah, you reached out to me, but then you came to Oz and you seemed like your mind was made up. Giselle was like, it was. You seemed like you thought he was guilty. I did. Based on the information that I had, based on the facts that were presented, and the fact that you wouldn't speak on it, I did. I thought he was guilty. Here's the thing. I can't even be mad at Giselle because I would now, as my friend, as my friend, I would check on my friend to make sure she was okay. But that doesn't, me making sure that my friend is okay doesn't mean that I don't think her husband guilty. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could still be guilty, but I just want to make sure you good, boo. I want to make sure that you, as my friend, are good. I still think your husband is some shit. Like, it can be both. And so Ashley's thing kind of is, well, if you don't believe that Michael is innocent, then, you couldn't really be my friend like that. And the conversation was had, but the story like I said, the story about the whole bumping in, it just was like, okay, so now he bumped him, so something did happen, but maybe it just was misinterpreted. Maybe he took it to another level in this day of Me Too, whatever, whatever. So that was the whole conversation, y'all. I ain't rehashing all of that. It was just the back and forth, the back and forth, the back and forth. But Giselle did let her know, look, I did think he was guilty. Like, based on what I had, that's the information I took from it. Now let's get to this lost footage for a second. So at the end of the episode, shady ass Bravo showed us the footage from that day. Now remember, Monique said she did not have cameras in the basement, and supposedly the cameraman said that this situation took place in the basement. So let me say this: what I feel went down. My 2 cents. It ain't alleged. My 2 cents is my 2 cents, but based on the information they showed us. It looks like Michael walked past the cameraman and Michael hit the cameraman, maybe tapped him on the ass or whatever. And the cameraman said, it's on camera. You hear the cameraman saying to him, don't do that. Michael said, what? He was like, don't do that, man. And Michael said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. That's not an accidental bump, because if it was an accidental bump, then what you would have said was, oh, my bad. I didn't mean to hit you. Because that's what I would do. If I walked past somebody and I tapped them with however it went down, and the person thinks I did it on purpose, I'm going to make sure they know it was an accident. Now, that's not the situation that was in the lawsuit for a couple. Well, let me say that, because I didn't read the lawsuit. But for a couple of reasons, I think that was just like the appetizer to the main event. And the reason why I say that is because, one, they said it happened in the basement. This clearly was outside by the pool, or coming out to the pool area. That's number one. Number two, Chris was called as a witness to said event. Chris wasn't nowhere around when this happened. So that couldn't have been the situation that they have been speaking on all this time. I feel like because Bravo probably legitimately either can't show the footage from the basement for legal reasons, or doesn't have the footage from the basement because whatever. So that was the appetizer. Now, the main event is what went down in the basement. Now, the dessert was the second clip that Bravo showed us, which was the cameraman saying to Michael, I told you about grabbing me on my ass. I told you about grabbing me on my ass. And again, Michael did not say, man, I didn't grab you on your ass. Michael said, I'm sorry, let me buy you a beer. Well, not buy you, because I'm sure Monique wasn't charging for no liquor at her house. It was probably, let me get you a beer. So again, I say, I'm not saying that automatically makes this man guilty. What I'm saying is he didn't act the way I would have expected him to act if he were innocent. That's all I'm saying. And I'm done. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.